So I've been wanting to do this video for a little bit. When I saw the news come up, I thought, hey, this was something that was interesting and something that will probably, draw some people to kind of talk about, what's going on. I know some people probably use this news as a reason, like, oh, look, Xbox might be doing the right thing or something along those lines. But for me, I don't really look at it as that. I kind of look for some of these things as like, you kind of you can almost take it for what it is, but you also have to look at the source and kind of see where people are kind of heading with that, which is a reason why I'm always kind of cautious with it. I'll kind of explain my thought process of this and what I think, and then I'm curious to hear what you guys think, like in the comment section and stuff like that. It could be you guys might think one thing or the other. I don't know. It's like it's a very interesting take. How these things kind of work out, but like I said, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, this was very interesting because we see developers talking about who they are going to make games for, right? That's the key thing. Xbox Series X and S ranked 5th on the list of platforms developers are most interested in. So think about that for a second. Xbox is below Switch 2, it's below a Steam Deck, it's below PS5 or PS5 Pro, it's below PC. Now PC on here got the most at 80%, but you have to also look at the developers who they're talking to. It was kind of a smaller sample size of people. So organizers behind the GDC Festival Gaming have unveiled their State of the Game Industry Report for 2026, polling only 2,300 professionals on topics including AI, workplace trends, and more. The bit that's getting attention from an Xbox perspective is a list of platforms that developers are most interested in, with Series X and S ranking in 5th place with 20% of the vote, behind PC with 80%, PS5 with 40%, Steam Deck with 40%, and Nintendo Switch 2 at 39%. Xbox One was also lower down the list with 9% of the vote. ROG Xbox Ally had 7%, and Xbox Cloud Gaming had 5%. So, it's not exactly nothing. Xbox is exactly lighting the world on fire. It's also interesting to see like PC at 80%, but then Steam Deck is at 40%. So isn't that just a PC too? I don't know. The whole thing is kind of weird to me. And ROG Ally, that's just a PC too. I don't know. It's so weird. A separate poll shows that of the developers who were polled, 40% of them shipped a product on Series X and S recently, compared to 47% for PS5 and 83% for PC. 23% of them also shipped on Xbox One. Now, there are definitely some caveats to be aware of here. Firstly, as mentioned, we're only looking at a group of just over 2,000 people that make up these results, so they're not necessarily representative of the entire industry. It should also be noted that developers don't make games specifically for the ROG Ally or cloud gaming. The Ally runs PC games, and cloud gaming streams console games, so it's no surprise that these developers aren't particularly interested in either of them. In terms of Series X and S, the results probably do align with the weaker console sales in recent years, but they also suggest that if Microsoft adds Windows to the next Xbox console as rumored, it's going to be an interesting bit of news for both developers and players alike. Personally, I don't look at it that. I think there's a lot of developers who already skip Windows, so I'm not really exactly sure that that's necessarily the good piece of news that this article is kind of suggesting. It's like, I don't know, it's like you can get, when I'm checking out articles and stuff and I check out, like pure Xbox and stuff like that, when you go to these Xbox sites, it's interesting because a lot of them just want to, again, and this is not a knock on anybody, their business, I guess, is, talking about Xbox and trying to, spin everything to where it sounds great. I personally don't agree with that tactic, because as you're going to start to see probably with some YouTubers, a lot of them are probably going to start maybe switching up or maybe leaving altogether. I don't know, because it's hard to really buy into what Xbox is doing like it's a good thing, and that's probably something that's going to be very tough to do in the future, just for the simple fact that we're seeing like so much happen where Xbox just doesn't really matter anymore to Microsoft, and people are starting to wonder, hey, what's going to happen when Satya Nadella leaves, and these people come in and Xbox is like the low man on the totem pole. What's going to happen then? It's like, okay, well, anything can happen, but it's probably not going to be a good thing. And so I think that's honestly one of the things that most people are probably going to have to kind of talk to themselves about. And hey, in the future, what are we going to do there? It's really kind of with developers and stuff, it's simple business. We'll go there to return on investment and to reduce the risk is. And we know that Xbox consoles are not best place to go anymore. In fact, Microsoft has yet to really confirm of any real reason to actually own their platforms, right? Like that's I guess kind of the sad state of affairs is just honestly, where is the reason to do that? Like I've been saying that for a little while now. It's like where's the reason to kind of go out there and be supportive of Xbox hardware right now? There is no real exact reason to do that I've seen. I've seen somebody mention Game Pass, but again, I'll state it pretty clearly. I don't think, I don't think having the ability to rent games on a platform for almost $400 a year, I don't think that is indicative of, something great or amazing or whatever for the platform. So, like, that's pretty much kind of how I feel about this stuff. I know that a lot of other people probably might feel that Game Pass is a reason, but trust me, when if Microsoft had a chance to put Game Pass on Switch or Sony platforms, they 100% would. And so that's something that, I kind of look at and I say they're not doing Xbox fans a favor with Game Pass. If anything, they've really kind of hurt the industry in the fact that they've kind of conditioned people not to not to buy games, and that's really unfortunate overall. But I do hope that we do see something come from the future where there's something good out there, something good to behold, or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of the thing that I'm kind of looking at, and I'm kind of hoping that Microsoft can kind of switch things up or whatever. But it's like I don't necessarily disagree with developers, and again, this is just a small sample group or whatever, but I do think what we've seen is some developers, small and medium, have skipped Xbox versions of stuff, and that's been really kind of unfortunate, because I don't like seeing the product get completely destroyed, and it was such a good product and such a such a good thing to me. What I mean? It was such an amazing piece of technology, and the consoles aren't bad. That's the main thing also, man. I would say that the Xbox Series X and the the Series S and they're quality pieces of hardware. And the thing is that's really hurting Microsoft is the things that they do to themselves. It's just such a really poor kind of situation to be in, because they don't have the software to back up the good hardware. And I find that to be very unfortunate and very kind of disappointing as just a fan myself, because we don't really see a lot of the things that we probably would have, and it's like without the idea of exclusive games or something significant for their platform holders, how can anything change? How can anybody be excited about the platforms and stuff in general? So that's kind of how I look at it. Maybe you guys look at it a little bit differently, but just for me anyway, I just kind of have to look at it in that way, that hey, maybe we'll see some changes there, that Microsoft does something. And like, I think they can change things pretty much at any particular time they want. It really just kind of comes down to if fans are willing to accept what they're offering and things like that. So we'll see. Like I said, I say this all the time, and people don't know why. They go, well, why are you so outspoken about this? You should just be quiet, blah blah blah. It's like, listen, even if you don't have as much invested into Xbox as I do, it doesn't make sense to completely be quiet and to never speak up about something. Or like, imagine if people did that with the original Xbox One ideas, right? Like, but people spoke up and Microsoft changed course. Or imagine if people just like had that attitude when Microsoft was like, we're going to charge $80 for Outer Worlds 2. Imagine if people didn't speak up at that point. And then furthermore, prove the point by not buying the game even when they lowered the price again. I mean, you think Microsoft will think twice about raising their prices again? I absolutely think so. But imagine if people did what some of you are suggesting and just being quiet. Like that, what does that accomplish? It accomplishes nothing. If you speak up, maybe you can change something, maybe you don't, but at least you took the chance, and that's saying something. I think that's something that probably, kind of how I stand on some of these issues and stuff like that. So anyway, I'll link this in the description. You guys can let me know. How do you guys feel about it? Do you guys think developers will continue to not support Xbox? Let me know. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.